particularly. They think it's going to upset the ecology of. I mean, I've fished on the other side of Block Island for blues. You know, where you go on these fishing tours, and you know, the blues are such a stupid fish anyway. They jump on anything that shines, you know. But I mean, it's other. I mean, the fishing quotas are down now anyway. Yeah. Because of the decisions by the National Marine Fisheries. But they're concerned. On the other hand, I have read and I've been told that natural reefs, that the foundations for these windmills, which are enormous, would present a natural reefing area for fish to combine, so at least the recreational fishermen can still go out and fish. I don't know what it does to commercial.
Yeah, I think in the end, you would definitely see people going out to the turbines just to fish right there, because there probably will be fisheries congregating right around there. And in terms of the fish population, we have much more to fear from global warming, and the temperature of the bay has already increed significantly.
Oh, yeah, I just had a discussion with someone the other day about that.
Yeah, it's affecting flounder populations, affecting lobsters. So that's the big fear for our fishing industry. The installation of these turbines is not a major imposition.
We may not see a lobster in Narragansett Bay for many years to come.
Eventually, and you know, even if you're looking at Maine now, the population is going ever more northward because it's just getting hotter and hotter.
I think the thing that people don't understand, and it's really the ultimate task of public education, whether it's Al Gore's movie or not, Inconvenient Truth, is that just a minor increase in water temperature of 1 to 2%. That's all. You know, if it's 68 degrees and goes up to 70 or 71, we don't get too concerned. But in the ocean, a change of 1 or 2% does have a dramatic effect on marine life and the ecology of the ocean.
It's already having a big effect, and a lot of those changes are already baked into the cake. Right now, if we stopped carbon emissions completely, we'd still see temperature rises in the atmosphere and in the ocean of more than a degree.
So what's the schedule now for the construction of the windmills at Deep Wind? Well, there have been a lot of delays. I know there's been a lot of delays.
There have been some delays, but they're still hopeful that they can get the turbines installed and spinning the year after next, 2015.
2015.
And so that would still make that installation the first offshore wind platform in the country. And you know, we're way behind.
We'll be ahead of Cape Wind on Cape Cod, yeah, because we're ahead of them. Now Block Island will be the first recipient of this electrical energy from they're all for it. Right. I know that from the very beginning. They want it. So a cable will go to Block Island, and a cable will go from Block Island to the mainland, right? Now, I understand they're already paying high electrical rates on Block Island, so they're still paying a slightly higher one isn't bothering them too much. But
well, this will reduce. It'll
reduce their costs.
Cut their costs in half. Yeah. So the power from this demonstration project, which it's 30 megawatts, so it'll cover all of Block Island's energy needs, and then have some left over for the mainland. But that will be at 24.4 cents per kilowatt hour, which is a pretty big premium over what we're paying here on the mainland.
Higher than what we're paying now. Yeah.
But in the end, it'll have a less than 0.2 cents per kilowatt hour effect on what we're paying.
It'll be a more reliable supply for Block Island too. They're using generators, their own generators now. You said diesel powered.
Diesel.
Then I've read in the paper recently that the cable will come under the ocean and emerge in Narragansett for the mainland, and they're concerned about that.
Right. I think that's where the delay is right now. I think this morning I heard on the news that Deepwater Wind is no longer seeking to go through the Narragansett or under the Narragansett town beach, which raised some concerns from.
So choose another site? They got another site?
I think they probably do. I don't think they would have stopped seeking that route if they didn't have.
They haven't identified the other site yet.
No, but I think it's probably going to go through state land. If there's.
Well, it isn't my sense of where Narragansett's located. Narragansett, town of Narragansett, just butts right up against Black Point. which is state-owned land now, because years ago there was a big controversy about a developer who wanted to develop, and the state eventually had to buy out the developer. So Black Point, which is uninhabited, which is green space, seems to be a more sensible thing come under there.
There is a lot of state land right there, you know, south of Narragansett's Town Beach. There's Scarborough. There's, you know, there's a lot of state land down there. So I think there probably is a spot.
The concern has been of a deep wind has been the economics of it. I mentioned to you earlier that this company Torrey Plastics, which is in Quonset Point Industrial Park, and I think they make film. I'm not sure, but I think they manufacture film. Has been notable in the paper a few times because they feel their energy costs are going to accelerate. The former Attorney General, Patrick Lynch, spoke out against. I mean, his position was not to approve deepwater wind, but of course his view didn't prevail. And there is concern about the economic. Frankly, as a consumer, I don't know what impact it will have on me just yet. Will we pay more for the first number of years? I don't know how much energy supply will be provided to National Grid for us from deepwater wind. Right. It's only a small percentage in the beginning, right?
Yeah, it's a 30 megawatt farm, so that's about 1.5% of our energy demand in Rhode Island. It won't raise our rates significantly. We'll still have the second lowest rates in New England. We do have the second low, even though we pay more than many other parts of the country. Right. Yeah. So we'll be in exactly the same position. We'll be more competitive than Connecticut and Massachusetts. So those concerns are definitely overblown, especially. Now we were talking earlier, and I read in the paper, Deepwater Wind and Cape Wind, which will build on the Cape Cod, have recently won federal leases. Right. The auction for bidding. Yeah, and this is larger windmill farms further out in the ocean. Right. So there's two distinctions. You know, there's federal waters and there's state waters, and state waters extend 12 miles off the coast, and beyond that it turns into federal waters. Right. So for the first time in U.S. history, just last week they had an auction for a couple of parcels in federal waters, and Deepwater Wind won both of those auctions. So they've got, you know, their foot in the door with the Deepwater Wind demonstration project. I think that gave them an advantage when they went for the auction. And, you know, they could start putting in that wind farm as early as 2017, they say. And that would be a truly massive project. They're thinking on the order of about 1,100 megawatts. And that's, you know, that would be, how many windmills would that project be? It's 300 something. Well, that's huge. Yeah. How do you navigate through those windmills on your boat? You gotta be careful. Well, you know, they're doing it in other parts. I know the federal agencies have marked out the area for them, just like I think our Coastal Resources Council a few years ago. I can't remember the acronym. It's called SAMP or something, Management Plan or something. And that's where Deepwater Wind will start on the other side of Block Island, right? Right. But eventually, have you seen the, by the way, have you seen the 3 windmills down at the Narragansett Bay Commission facility in Providence? Oh, yes, yes. They're going now. They've been whirring around now for 2 months. And they estimate they'll save $1 million off their electrical bill. And they're huge. Now, New England Institute for Technology has long had a windmill as you go down 95. That's a baby compared to what the Narragansett Bay Commission has. They're huge. The ones out in deep wind, are they going to be bigger than that? Even bigger. Even bigger. Yep. That's amazing. Yeah, these are massive turbines, and that's why they can produce 6 megawatts. When I had them on the show a few years ago, I had Deepwater Wind. I had somebody from the company and the head of the Electrical Workers Union, because they're interested in jobs. There was talk about an assembly plant facility in Quonset. Do you know if that's still intended? They have reserved that space at Quonset. They're paying money for it, so I anticipate that will be one of the industrial hubs for offshore wind. I hope it's not going to be one of these things where they build them in China and ship them over here. No, I hope not as well. I mean, you really hope not. Because in Europe, like Holland, I know, has a lot of windmills, and I've been there and you can see them offshore. They build them, you know, they assemble them there too, so there's jobs. Besides the maintenance jobs for a 300 windmill farm,
It's pretty good maintenance jobs.
It'll be a major industry. I mean, going forward, and that's just one potential project. It's going to happen up and down the eastern seaboard. But Rhode Island could really stake a claim to be the home of the offshore wind industry, and I think that's what we need to do.
That'd be something, huh? A first for Rhode Island.
Well, you know, we have such a strong industrial heritage, and I think that's what we need to look towards if we want to.
So you think by around 2016, 2017, it'll be operational? 2016, right?
2017, they'll begin, you know, putting them in the water. I don't know when they're thinking that they'll start the energy production. With such a large project, it might take a little longer. But 2018, 2019, start getting all that energy.
That's a smaller project, the initial project.
The initial project will be done in 2015, and that's great. That will make us first.
So that makes us the home of windmill energy, right. wind energy in America. That's great. And this is the first. No other state has done anything with windmills offshore. Not even in the Gulf of Mexico or Pacific, California, or coast of Florida. Nothing. That's interesting.
It is amazing because, you know, it's been 20 years in Europe that they've been doing this, and maybe that's somewhat of a benefit to us because we've seen what works and what doesn't work over there, and now we have this technology to build these really massive ones that produce a lot of energy.
We did a show about 2 years ago with two guys who have a model for, you probably know them, for kind of homegrown windmill energy where you can put a windmill in your backyard, I guess.
Sure.
But there are all kinds of zoning conditions.
Yes.
Before we go off, I want to ask you about, because I know the Sierra Club has a great record of being environmentally conscious on a variety of issues.
Yeah.
Hydraulic fracking for natural gas. The Sierra Club has been out front on that issue, hasn't it?
Yeah, to a degree. You know, I think a lot of environmental groups were looking at natural gas as a way to transition away from the dirtier stuff.
From dirty petroleum.
Right,
yeah.
like use the natural gas while we still need to be using this much energy, and as we're building the renewable capacity. We did not know that it was going to involve this really horrific type of mining, which is hydraulic fracturing, where they, you know, push at huge pressures this, you know, unknown substance into the earth to create cracks and basically shale formations where there's some oil, some natural gas.
It gives off toxins, especially methane, right? It gets into water supplies and aquifers.
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy to do this. It takes a lot of water, contaminates a lot of water.
If you contaminate an aquifer, it doesn't restore itself in 5 years. No. Some of those aquifers have been there for 1,000 years, so it takes 1,000 years to build one up.
Right.
Well, I wish we had more time. We should invite you back every year. In fact, I will, because we want to stay up on the progress of these projects. But let me ask you this: are you going to run for public office again?
I will, definitely. Yes.
You have any idea what you're going to run for yet?
Not yet. I'll make that announcement.
Well, it's kind of ambitious. You want to run for you ran for Congress. You should think of running for a state office, though, Abel.
Well, thank you.
I think you have a lot to. I really do think you have a lot to offer, and I appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks very much.
It's my pleasure. Thank
you. Folks, keep your eye on the news and watch what the Sierra Club is saying about things like burning coal at Brayton Point, and watch for the Deepwater Wind Project because change is coming to our area, and we've got to do something about clean energy. So this is Joe Vileno now signing off for Viewpoint, and enjoy the good weather we're having this week, and as always, keep watching. So it's good to have you.